everyone who knows Sister Raphael personally, we have a tremendous admiration. We are absolutely totally floored by her memory, because at 87 she can remember hundreds if not thousands of different students.
Well, being one in a family of 6, it was very interesting. I was the middle of seven. I was the middle child of the 7. The elder ones were always there for the smaller ones. And we really enjoyed being together. Adults and children, and passing on the knowledge and seeing the child grow and progress as the stages go on. I think it's something very challenging in one way, but very rewarding to see the children move up and progress as the time goes. I think knowing and letting them know their strong points early, it's very helpful. This is the one liked to jump, and we were going for sports, and some of the track and field, you set your finalists, but like high jump and all, they didn't really have preliminaries. So I said to her, I said, you like to jump, so I sent you to jump with me. And she went. I said, when you jump over you will fall on a mattress. I said, so watch what the others doing and do the same thing. And she came out with this implement. So I said, so when you go into secondary school now, you have an idea what you're going to do. So it's something that you could advance yourself in and continue the sport. So you see, develop the skill. They cannot understand what you're doing, but it is developing a skill in the child, being able to take the two things and place them together. This boy, I taught him in primary level. Now he's in Form 1, he just finished Form 1. But he came here to me. I'm trying to help him a little with the mathematics, but he said, he asked me last day if I could sew, and I said, tell me you want to learn to sew. And I told him, Mother, now this is not for you. He tells me he wants to learn to sew. So I said, don't be laughing, because men are tailors, and there are men who are doing women's clothes.
Right.
So that
and there's fashion design, and
perhaps it's something that is appealing to him, and he's right, so he can make his way.
Right, and again, I love to hear you say that, because I've sat with you on many occasions, and you're not all about this child is academic, let's push this child. You're always about what can the child do. And
you must be interested in children. If you're not interested in the child, basically, it's not. You could develop it from learning from your teachers. And you found that they were able to help you in such an area, and you were able to develop. And through that, you often think that, well, it's something that you would like to do, you would like to teach, because you'd be able to help other children just as the teachers helped you. So that the teacher must be able to hand over to the child that she's interested in her, that she wants to see her to progress, and to actually make her feel that she's moving in a group, so that she's confident then that Miss knows that she's moving, and that others in class know that she's moving too. So it gives her that confidence.
Okay, so you're saying the teacher also has to inspire
the child.
In the child.
Yes.
So help to build the child's confidence, not just as an individual, but in relation to those around her.
The same one who's at Rosary now, she said that one of the teachers, when she started, she told her, make sure that you could call each child by name. They must have the interest of the child at heart, or the interest of the children, I should say, because if that is not part of their thinking, they're just going to earn money. The child is not an important component in the whole setup, except that is there. The teaching is going to continue to lack a lot, because to see children progress is the important thing if you're a teacher, to see a child I was able on one occasion, after the common entrance exam, to allow the children to do different things. And they were at a class for me, and they had 4 books that they didn't want to correct at all. So I called them in one afternoon and I said, well, you're going to have a little meeting about what you have been doing. And I suggested to them, these 4 children are the most important children in the class. I say, if we could see, the others are understanding, so if we could see these 4 move up, that would be the important thing. So they started to pay the interest, and they were able in a week's time to tell me, yes, sister, they are improving.
So within the group, you encourage some to teach others or to coach others.
Yes.
Okay.
So that I think it's very important to give them the chance to work in the different areas, so that one challenge one year was to some had to sew, and some said they would cook, and one said would make a cake. She thought they would, and they brought the egg white was put in the fridge to dry out the water, and she came and they had to beat her. And then it was time and said, well, so many minutes, it's time for us to light the oven to put it in, and teacher lighted the oven. And I said, now you grease the tin and you put on your tissue paper. So and I said, all right, then you put it out and you put it in the oven. I said, well, good, now while it is in the oven, you wash up and tidy. And when they were finished, they brought a sample, please, for me to see. I said, well, they're not excellent, I said, but they're tasting well. So
right.
When I said, so where are the soupies for the exhibition tomorrow? Sister, we ate all.
Oh, no.
At least they were able to achieve something, and they knew that it had come out sufficiently good.
You know,
I think that one part of the class did, and I tried to show them how much work did you do for the period of time that we had. So what did you earn? What would you earn? I am going on, I'm going to, what would you earn? And they were able to see in some cases that some people didn't earn anything. I said, so then what does that person have to do? She has to interest herself more, and her output should be more. Because one said, but sister, the money that she would get, she can't even buy her breakfast. Right, so that they were coming to terms with output had to be there if you had to earn from what you were doing.
So they were basically making things to sell?
No, they were making things for an exhibition.
Okay.
So that
but when
one component was that those who have a coconut tree by, yes, sister, I said, well, the teachers will pay $5 for broom.
Okay.
Said, so then all
okay. So you are actually giving them opportunities to earn real money.
Yes. And they made it. So when the time came, I reminded them, but they didn't do anything.
But how did that work?
When I came out with my, they said, but sister, how do you get so much? I said, because I was doing mine every day. But they see you
so you sure teaching, in other words, teaching them a lesson.
Yes,
teaching them a lesson.
Learning the lessons.
But let me ask you a question. You know, nowadays you can't have money in school.
Right.
So back then you could have actually given the children money.
Right.
Because now they have so many rules and regulations.
Right.
You know, in terms of how schools are run.
And one of the teachers, the teacher in the post-primary class, she would actually give them money to spend.
Really?
And yes, and they had to account.
Oh, so that was a little accounting exercise.
Arithmetic. You had to put the total you had, and then what you bought, and subtract. And by a process of subtracting, well, you only had 2 cents change, so you brought it in. But they were learning how to use money.
Yes.
And if they had to go to the market to buy, they would put the stones, 2 oranges for 25 cents. So you put the practical thing. So you have 4 heaps. How much for this heap? 25 cents. 25 cents. How many 25 cents? There are 4 25 cents. 4 25 cents would make $1. They're doing the mathematics, but they don't even realize that it's going on. But the practical thing helped them to be able to get themselves a little bit better on the mathematics.
And certainly, children prefer learning things in a practical, hands-on way when they can. One of the concerns I have sometimes is that teachers are not always happy with the directives from above. I'm speaking here about, for example, even in England, the teachers aren't always happy with what the
principal is saying.
Well, not the principal. I'm talking about the government itself might change policies and give directives. And sometimes the teachers think that's not in the best interest of the children. And here in Trinidad, I'm pretty sure that sometimes teachers don't think that what they're being told to do is in the best interest of the children. But should teachers have more say
in that area,
in the curriculum?
That is something that has been on the chart for a long time. And because different areas, according to the different areas, you find that you have to work in a different system. Because of the area that you live in.
Oh, you mean the demographics?
Yes, because according to
but many times governments give one blanket instruction for everybody in terms of what they're expecting.
Things that they open up, like in agriculture and so. The children who live in the country are going to excel in the agriculture, and they're going to learn how to market their things and so. Whereas a child in town, where it's a different kind of setup. Now, to go to gym and go to gymnastics and so, you get it more in the town, whereas the children in the country don't. It might be just one. Swimming too is developing so that they have competitions even at primary level for the students. And last year here at this school, there was one child who was going to the gymnastics somewhere away, and they allowed her to do her tests before so that she could fulfill her role there, because there's where she was excelling.
Wow.
You know, so she was able to excel there and still excel at her academics. So that, but according to the areas that you live in, you have to move things in different
So you're saying that education should be more flexible?
Yes.
And it shouldn't be one rigid rule across the board?
Even for your schools, when they have to do any fixing and repairing, the teachers should be consulted to a certain extent, because you know what you have been doing and you know where you would like, what is the next move, so that even at St. Joseph there, we would raise our funds, but we would decide what are we doing with the money. So when the time for the function, if we had plenty money in the bank, I would move a certain amount into a special account. So when I was ready to retire, I called the senior teacher and I said, you know that I have the second account. I said, I have $10,000 in that second account, apart from the account that is managing what we do. And I said before you, I said, I would like to buy a piano and guitars and recordings. I said, and they all agreed that we should.
Okay. So you made sure your school had instruments,
because
basically.
we had a cupboard of music. And one teacher wanted me to move out the cupboard. So one day she opened it and she saw what we had. So then she said, I said, oh, you mean the cupboard that you want me to move out to put the bench? You realize what we have. I said, and I feel the music is going to rise. So that if we have the instruments, we would do something. So at the end of the first year, they had a concert.
Okay.
But they had children playing, they had the piano to practice, they had children playing the recorders.
Yes.
They had and eventually they entered the music festival in the steel band category, and they reached the finals. So that it was something that I felt would come. And they agreed, and the process really paid off.
And that's a beautiful story to end this segment of our interview with. And I do think, though, it's sad that all over the world, I assume, that you find that schools are somewhat dependent on community fundraising, because what that means is that poorer communities are not able to give their schools as much funds, and therefore, again, the poorer students have less opportunities. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. So, I mean, it's good to know that you're able to raise funds and do good things with it, but it does make you question, you know, do we have a level playing field? Not really. And should the government be doing more to make it a level playing field? So I think that's an interesting that's an interesting note on which to end. Thank you so much, sister. So we have a few more questions coming up.
And sometimes on a Friday afternoon, we would sit and talk. I said, it is important.
That would be you and the teachers?
Yes.
Or
The teachers.
Okay.
I said, because we're working all the time and we don't talk. And they too sat in groups for lunch. And invariably, a lot of what had to be done and what could be were things that they were discussed over the meal. So that when they came in, they had a sort of concerted thing of which way we would take and how we would go forward.
And you know, sister, these are little aspects of your, we would call it leadership nowadays, which you perhaps recognize intuitively, maybe without going on any big leadership course. But now, you know, organizations and schools that consider leadership know that it's important for staff to sit down and talk things through and in a relaxed atmosphere and come to conclusions and take that forward, whether it's on a week by week basis or
you see from
every half day.
You're able to give a child a chance at something that normally she would be able to excel because of watching. And I often said to the teachers, the children play after school. You must sit down sometimes and watch them.
Wow.
I said, so from watching them, you will see how they're thinking. How with these cameras on your telephone and your
Yeah, we just distracted all the time.
They take a lot of pictures.
True.
And you will see them telling a little one, don't touch that. And she's putting her hand, but she's watching you. You're telling her not to touch it. She is touching it still, but she's watching you straight. But she's still touching it, although you told her don't touch it, you know, so that you are able to see how the children react. And from how they react, you are able to put them in certain channels and really make them benefit from what they can do.
Right.
Was not able to pass her common entrance examination, so she went on to do the school leaving course. And but she was very athletic, and from encouraging her and bringing the game on netball, and we find that she was really able to excel. And very often she thought herself the best, and which she still thinks today. She played at the Trinidad level, and she's now playing in the over 40 group. Ruth was a student of Wendy, and Wendy had seen her mother. Her concept is that her mother worked as a nurse, and she saw her work 24 hours a day to ensure her academic excellence. She was a pupil of Port of Spain Convent in St. Joseph, and she really developed there an attitude of wanting children to excel. And after grading the classes, which I fully explained why we were and how we were, and they worked at their level. They were working at their own level and not trying to climb with the others who were excelling. But then they came on level examinations, and Ruth, as far as Wendy felt, Ruth had excelled. She said, "Sister, look at her work, look at how it has progressed." And she was very, very much talking Ruth up so that Ruth got very much better because of the support that she got. And Elizabeth came to us from Princestown, which is way down in the south, because her aunt taught with us. And the grandmother could no longer manage her. So she was about to be put in a school in Tunapuna where they would do handwork, and so I suggested that we would keep her in St. Joseph and find out academically what she was able to do. So we kept her, and she too excelled and was able to pass her school leaving. But she was very interested in making flowers and arranging flowers because she had seen other people doing it. So eventually, on shopping one Friday, Aunt bought her some chenille. And after the aunt went into bed because she was tired, she sat and she worked and made her flowers.
Wow.
So that the next morning when the flowers were seen, the aunt said to her, Lizzie, where did you? What flower? She said, but Auntie Sylvia, you bought the shilling for me and I made them last night. As a result, we asked a florist in the Curragh area if she would take her, and she said yes. So next morning on the Monday,
how old was she, might I ask, at that
15.
age? 15, okay. So those were in the days where that was okay, because
Yes.
now they say you have to be in education for
at
longer.
14 you could ride the school even.
Right,
Then,
right.
But
That was years
the aunt
ago.
was there, we
Yes.
kept her.
Yes.
And so we sent her on to do the floral business, and again, she excelled. It was her gift. And today, she has been moving very far. She actually travels to Tobago very often. She is excelling in every way. Not only arranging the flowers, she makes bouquets. So when she has a wedding to take, she's making the cake and icing it. Very good. She's making the bouquets with the rye. And now she has taken up draping and decorating.
Right.
So that her first thing in Tobago, the gentleman asked if she would leave it for advertisement for a week.
Wow.
And as a result of that, you find her traveling very often to Spain.
You're traveling different.
She worked at the shops of Maraval, in Maraval here, and the gentleman wanted to have courses, run courses. He would talk, and Elizabeth would fix the flowers. But of course, her aunt had to speak. She said, if you talk and Elizabeth doesn't put the flower in place, you will have nothing. So how is the money going to be shared? Because she really wasn't thinking of it. She wanted to do the flowers. That was the important thing. She could excel at it, and so that she's in all the areas now, arranging, decorating, and cake making and everything. Mura lived very good at the weekend, and
you mean the
went
teachers
on to
cried?
do floral.
The teachers cried?
Yes.
Yeah, because they've been working with her for so long.
Good. So she did the floral arrangement, and so she was able to earn. So that I think these 5 people really stood out as children who we discovered, and we were able to take them on in their particular field, and they were able to achieve very well what they set out at the beginning to achieve.
And again, you know, inadvertently, without saying it, what you're showing to us is that either you keep in touch with your students or they keep in touch with you. Because you know so many of their continued life stories decades after they've left your care, you know, as students.
Many of them have really gone on and they have excelled, and no, getting their PhDs, etc., etc. Well, I mean, children that I would not be able to really think they would have gone as far as that.
Okay, I got your point.
One child actually traveled and had to ring when she got to the States, and they couldn't come for her, but they asked somebody else who was nearer. And then when the gentleman reached, he said, "But I know you." And so she said, "Your mother didn't used to be cleaning the school at St. Joseph Boys."
Oh my
She
gosh.
said yes, and
Yeah.
he said no. She would wait when my children, when I was late, she would put them in the police station, she would wait.
Right.
And then that first night he discovered that she lives in the same direction. So he was confident then, if anything happened, that she would wait and he would give her a drop. And when she got to the airport and she ran, this was the gentleman they sent for her. And
Wow.
he said, well, this is so good that your mother did so much to help me with my children, and here I am today, being able to help you, you know, on your journey. It was really something very, very good for him to think that here he was able to return something that had been given to him, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think all in all, sister, if we make that effort to see where we could build the child, in which area she would be strong, I think it's very good. They might be able to open a shop one student actually, her mother had died, and she got bigger, and they opened a parlor for her. But being able to contact me, I was able to help her. But she said to me then, she said, "Sister, where the parlor is, I cannot make money." So I had to come here to see where the parlor was. And it was in between two junctions. So she said people get out to go up to Lopino. So if you have a parlor there, it would sell. She said, and the other people are up like it would sell. She said, but they don't get it in between. Right. They would get in at the junction and walk up home. So she said, so then I had to speak to her elder brother and tell him, I said, I went to visit us and the situation it's not going to be better. So then I think she went out into food. So she worked in Tobago at a hotel. Sometimes, so we have even then after they have left, to listen to what they have to say to you and to see for yourself. It's not going to improve. The parlor is not going to improve on sales, and it doesn't. It's no sense. If we could get another spot and two others, they would teach them things and then they would send them out. They could go to sell things, but I didn't think that profitable because you're going to sell dinnerments and curls, and you have to be clean, you have to have shoes, and how much do you sell for the day? And you have to walk back and forward, so that, does it really progress? So teaching in Tobago, where the students did principles of business and principles of accounts, they had to do some project, and they were buying corn curls to sell, and so then I told them, examine how much money do you sell at the end of the day. I said, so you have to look for something that's going to give you more profit than that if you have to earn to keep yourself. So we thought of making pies, making potato pies, which the children bought readily for breakfast in the morning. And the tuck shop never had enough. So we would ask the lady and say, well, we are making today, so don't make so many. And invariably they were able to see how much more they were able to get by carrying out that in the morning than just buying corn curls and selling.
Okay.
So that you show them, then you look to see where you're going to really make.
So again, we have an example of looking for the teaching moment.
Right.
As a teacher, you don't just stick to paper that the ministry sends you. This is a curriculum. You look for exercises and discussions and opportunities to teach in the real world, in real ways.
Or you would see and try selling sugar cakes on a Saturday morning. And she has to come there, she has to go back home, and she has to be clean. And then the tin looking fairly rusty. So I had to say to my students, I said, you all are getting such an opportunity that you're missing. I said, I saw this child waiting. I said, and I bought 2 sugar cakes only for her to get $1.50 because she had to go and come and she had to get something to eat. I said, here am I trying to teach you something and you're not trying to see how you could earn. I said, so that I gave her the coconuts and the sugar, get a new biscuit pan for her, and then people would want to purchase from her a little bit more. Right, so that stemmed up in them a little bit more of ambition to see that how could I use this opportunity to earn enough that would keep me and I'd be able to buy my shoes and have my luncheon. So that many of them have really progressed from being able to understand how we should apply ourselves if we have to keep. One student, she didn't do the food with me, but after I left, that is what she went into. I said, now if you had said that you were interested, you would have done the course with us, not for exams, but you would have been able to successfully see how to prepare things, and that would have helped you in what you're doing now. I said, so I suggested to Sister to suggest to Scarlett that perhaps they could enjoy certain children who would like, but not academically, they're not going into it. And they would be able to really open, because food really sells in this place. Right, no two ways about it. The food really, and if, as one person put up, if the food is not tasting good, tell us. But if it is tasting good, tell others.
Right.
So they want to know where they have to step up.
Yes.
And you know that it is good, so tell others so that others will come.
And
So
I think that this is also a good note on which we can end this little interview with Sister Raphael. She's very kindly given up quite a bit of time this afternoon to share with all of us. And I hope that we could, listen to what she's had to say and understand that we really can't progress in education and we really can't progress as a society if we are not willing to recognize that society is made of individuals and individuals must grow in their different fields in order for us to all progress together. So thank you very much, Sister Raphael, and God bless.